Maya Chen woke up that Tuesday morning to the sound of her mother's sewing machine. It was still dark outside, but her mom was already working on a pile of clothes that needed to be finished by noon. This was their life. Her mother worked from sunrise until late at night, and still, there never seemed to be enough money. Maya got dressed in her school uniform. The shirt was a bit too small now, and the sleeves barely reached her wrists. She'd grown taller this year, but getting new clothes wasn't something they could afford right now. Her mother had promised they'd go shopping next month, maybe. Maya didn't mind too much. She had bigger things to worry about, like the math test today. In the tiny kitchen, her mother had already packed her lunch. The same blue lunchbox she'd been using since 4th grade. Maya knew what was inside without looking. Rice with some stir-fried vegetables and a small piece of chicken. Her mother always made sure she had protein, even when it meant she'd eat less herself. "Did you sleep well, sweetheart?" her mother asked, looking up from her sewing machine. Her eyes were tired, with dark circles underneath. She'd probably been up since 4 in the morning. "Yes, Mom. You should rest more," Maya said, giving her a quick hug. Her mother smiled and touched Maya's cheek. "I rest enough. You just focus on your studies. Education is the only way out of this life, remember that." Maya nodded. She'd heard this 1,000 times, but it never felt like pressure. Her mother said it with such hope, such belief, that it made Maya want to work harder. The walk to Lincoln Middle School took 20 minutes. Maya didn't mind. It gave her time to think, to watch the neighborhood wake up. She passed the fancy bakery where she could never afford to buy anything, the bus stop where tired workers waited for their rides, and the small park where old men played chess. School was different. That's where Maya felt the gap between her life and everyone else's. Most kids at Lincoln came from families with more money. They had new backpacks every year, the latest phones, and lunch money to buy whatever they wanted from the cafeteria. Maya had learned to be invisible. She kept her head down, did her work, and tried not to draw attention to her worn-out shoes or her outdated backpack. It mostly worked, mostly. "Nice shirt, Maya. Did you buy it from the museum?" Kelly Robinson laughed as she passed Maya's desk. Her friends giggled, and Maya felt her cheeks burn. She didn't respond. She never did. What was the point? The morning classes dragged on. History, English, and then math. Maya actually enjoyed learning, even when the other kids groaned about homework. Books didn't care if you were poor. Knowledge didn't judge you by your clothes. When lunchtime finally came, Maya felt her stomach rumble. She'd skipped breakfast because her mother needed the extra rice for a client who was coming over. It was fine. She was used to being a little hungry. The cafeteria was loud and chaotic as always. Maya found her usual spot in the corner, away from the popular kids' tables. She opened her lunchbox and looked at the food her mother had carefully prepared. It wasn't much, but it was made with love. That's when she noticed him, a new kid sitting alone at the table near the window. He looked uncomfortable, out of place. His black hair was a bit messy, and he wore glasses that seemed too big for his face. But what caught Maya's attention was the fact that he had nothing in front of him. No lunch, no snacks, nothing. She watched him for a moment. He was staring out the window, trying to pretend he didn't care that everyone else was eating. But Maya could see his hands fidgeting, the way his eyes occasionally glanced at other people's food. She knew that feeling. Last year, when her mother had been sick for a week and couldn't work, Maya had gone to school without lunch for 3 days straight. She remembered the emptiness, the embarrassment, the way time seemed to move so slowly when you were hungry. Maya looked down at her lunch. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, something she'd said many times. "We might not have much, but we always have enough to share. That's what makes us rich in the ways that matter." Before she could talk herself out of it, Maya stood up and walked over to the new kid's table. He looked up, surprised. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm Maya. You're new here, right?" He nodded, looking uncertain. "Yeah, I'm James. Today's my first day." "First days are hard," Maya said, remembering her own first day at Lincoln. "Listen, I brought too much lunch today. My mom always packs way more than I can eat. Would you want to share?" It was a lie, of course. Her mother packed exactly the right amount. But Maya had learned that sometimes small lies were kinder than the truth. James looked at the lunchbox, then back at Maya. His eyes showed a mix of hunger and pride wrestling with each other. "I don't know. I mean, I forgot my lunch today, but..." "It's really okay," Maya insisted, sitting down across from him. "I hate wasting food, and I really can't finish all this. You'd actually be helping me out. Something in her tone or maybe in her eyes made James relax a little. He could see she understood. She wasn't pitying him. She was just being kind. Okay, he said quietly. Thank you. Maya opened her lunchbox and divided everything as evenly as she could. Half the rice, half the vegetables, and she gave James the entire piece of chicken. You should have the chicken, James protested. I don't really like chicken that much. Maya lied again. She loved chicken. It was a treat. But something told her James needed it more than she did right now. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then James spoke up. Why are you being nice to me? You don't even know me. Maya thought about it. I guess because someone was nice to me once when I needed it. And also starting at a new school is scary enough without being hungry too. James smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. It is pretty scary. We just moved here last week. My dad lost his job, so we had to move to a cheaper place. Everything's been weird. I get it, Maya said. And she really did. Things are tight for my family too. It's just me and my mom. She works all the time, but we still barely have enough. James looked at her with new understanding. So when you said you brought too much lunch, I wanted to share, Maya said simply. That's all that matters. From that day on, something shifted. James started sitting with Maya at lunch every day. She didn't bring extra food, but she always shared what she had. Some days she gave him more, some days they split everything evenly. They never talked about it directly. They just shared and they talked. About everything. James told her about his old school. His dad's struggle to find work. His mom's worry about their bills. Maya told him about her mother's sewing business. About her dreams of becoming a teacher someday, about the books she loved to read. Other kids noticed. Kelly Robinson made snide comments about the Poor Kids Club. Some boys made jokes about James being too weird to make other friends. But Maya and James didn't care. They had each other, and that felt like enough. One afternoon, about a month after they'd met, Maya came home to find her mother crying at the kitchen table. Bills were spread out in front of her, and the sewing machine sat silent. Mom, what's wrong? Her mother wiped her eyes quickly. It's nothing, sweetheart. Just a tough month. We'll be fine. But Maya saw the overdue stamps on the bills. She saw how thin her mother had gotten, probably giving Maya most of the food. That night, Maya went to bed with a knot in her stomach, wishing she could do something, anything, to help. The next day at school, she was quieter than usual. James noticed immediately. What's wrong? He asked during lunch. Maya shrugged. Just family stuff. Money problems. The usual. James was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his backpack and pulled out an apple and a chocolate bar. My dad got a job interview yesterday. They're hopeful. My mom was so happy she bought treats. Here, take these. James, no. You don't have to. You share with me every single day, James said firmly. Let me share with you for once, please. Maya took the apple and chocolate bar, her eyes getting watery. It wasn't about the food. It was about knowing someone cared. About not being alone in the struggle. That's when Maya learned something important. Kindness wasn't about having a lot to give. It was about giving what you could, when you could. It was about seeing someone else's pain and choosing to help, even when you had your own problems. She didn't know it then, but this simple act of sharing lunch would echo through the years, creating ripples that would eventually come back to save her life in ways she couldn't possibly imagine. The friendship between Maya and James grew stronger with each passing week. They became the kind of friends who didn't need to talk all the time. Sometimes they just sat together doing homework or reading, comfortable in the silence. But when they did talk, they talked about real things, not shallow stuff like who was dating who or what was trending online. They talked about their fears, their dreams, their families. James's situation was slowly improving. His father had gotten a job at a warehouse. It wasn't great pay, but it was steady work. His mother had started working part-time at a grocery store. They were still struggling, but the panic in James's eyes had faded a little. He didn't come to school hungry anymore. Maya's situation stayed the same. Some months were better, some were worse. But her mother kept working, kept pushing forward with that quiet strength that Maya admired so much. And Maya kept sharing her lunch even on days when her own stomach growled. Winter came, and with it new challenges. The heating in Maya's apartment barely worked. She'd wake up shivering, able to see her breath in the cold morning air. Her mother couldn't afford to fix the heater, so they piled on extra blankets and wore layers of clothing inside the house. At school, Maya tried to hide how cold she was. But James noticed. He always noticed. "You're shaking," he said one day at lunch. "The heater's broken at home," Maya admitted. "I'm just not warmed up yet." The next day, James brought an extra hoodie to school. "My cousin gave this to me, but it's too small. I thought maybe you could use it." Maya knew it wasn't too small. She'd seen James wear it before. But she also knew better than to refuse his kindness. She'd learned that letting people help you was also a gift. It made them feel good, feel useful. "Thank you," she said, pulling the warm hoodie over her thin shirt. It smelled like laundry detergent and felt like a hug. But not everyone at school was kind. Kelly Robinson and her group of friends seemed to take particular pleasure in making Maya's life difficult. They'd mock her clothes, her old backpack, the way she always brought lunch instead of buying it. One day in February, things got worse. Maya was at her locker between classes when Kelly walked up with her friends. "Hey Maya, nice hoodie." "Oh wait, isn't that James's?" Kelly smirked. "Are you two dating or something?" "The charity case in the weirdo." "How cute," Maya felt her face get hot. "Leave us alone, Kelly." "Or what? You'll fight me with your cheap lunchbox?" Kelly laughed and her friends joined in. Maya wanted to say something clever, something that would shut Kelly up. But her mind went blank. She just stood there feeling small and helpless. That's when James appeared. He'd been coming down the hallway and had heard everything. "You know what, Kelly?" James said, his voice calm but firm. "At least Maya knows what it means to be a real person. She doesn't need to put others down to feel good about herself." Kelly's face twisted. "Whatever. You two deserve each other. A couple of losers." She walked away with her friends, their laughter echoing down the hallway. Maya felt tears prick her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not where everyone could see. James put a hand on her shoulder. "Don't listen to her. She's just miserable and wants everyone else to be miserable too." "I know," Maya said. "But sometimes it gets to me, you know? Being poor. Being different." "I'm tired of it." "I get it," James said. "I really do. But you know what? You're the strongest person I know. You share food when you barely have enough. You're kind when the world gives you every reason not to be. That's not weakness. That's strength." Maya smiled despite herself. "When did you get so wise?" "I learned from the best," James said, bumping her shoulder gently. After that day, something changed. Kelly and her friends didn't stop being mean, but Maya stopped caring as much. She had James, and that friendship was worth more than the approval of people who would never understand her life. In March, James came to school with exciting news. His father had gotten a promotion, not a huge one, but enough that they could afford to move to a better apartment, one with working heat and a washer and dryer. James was thrilled. "And the best part," James said during lunch, "is that my parents said I could invite you over for dinner this weekend. They want to meet you. I've told them so much about you." Maya felt nervous and excited at the same time. "Are you sure? I mean, I don't want to impose—" "Maya," James said seriously, "you've shared your lunch with me for months. The least we can do is share one dinner with you." That Saturday, Maya put on her nicest clothes. They weren't fancy, but they were clean and without holes. Her mother had even ironed them specially. As Maya left, her mother pressed a small plant into her hands. "Give this to James's mother," she said. "You never go to someone's home empty-handed." The plant was from their windowsill, one of the few nice things they owned. Maya knew her mother treasured it, but here she was, giving it away. That was her mother. Always generous, even when she had so little. James's new apartment was modest but warm and comfortable. His parents welcomed Maya like she was family. James's mother, Mrs. Park, had cooked a feast. There was rice, several dishes of vegetables, soup, and even bulgogi beef. The smells alone made Maya's mouth water. "Thank you so much for having me," Maya said, offering the plant to Mrs. Park. "Oh, this is beautiful. You didn't have to bring anything," Mrs. Park said, clearly touched. "James has told us so much about you. How you welcomed him when he first came to school. How you've been such a good friend." During dinner, Maya learned more about James's family. His father talked about how hard it had been to lose his job, to uproot the family. His mother shared how scared she'd been that James wouldn't adjust to the new school. "But then he met you," Mr. Park said, looking at Maya. "And everything changed." He came home smiling. He wasn't scared anymore. Maya felt her cheeks warm. "He helped me too. Middle school is hard for everyone. After dinner, James showed Maya his room. It was small but cozy. He had a bookshelf full of science books and medical journals. "I want to be a doctor," James said, a little embarrassed. "I know it's a long shot. Medical school is expensive and my family doesn't have that kind of money, but I'm going to try. I want to help people." "You'll do it," Maya said with certainty. "I know you will. You're smart and you work hard. And you care about people. That's what matters most." "What about you?" James asked. "What do you want to be?" "A teacher," Maya said. "I want to work with kids from neighborhoods like mine. Kids who don't have much but deserve every chance to succeed. I want to be the kind of teacher who sees them. Really sees them, you know?" James smiled. "You'll be amazing at it. You already make people feel seen." As Maya walked home that night, her stomach full and her heart fuller, she thought about how much her life had changed since meeting James. She wasn't alone anymore. She had a true friend, someone who understood her struggles because he'd lived them too. But all good things seemed to come with an expiration date. In April, James came to school looking sad. Maya knew immediately that something was wrong. "My dad got offered a better job," James said. "It's in the next county. Better pay, better benefits. It's a great opportunity." Maya's heart sank. "You're moving?" "Yeah, at the end of the school year. The job starts in June, and my parents want to move during summer so I can start at the new school in September." They both sat in silence, picking at their lunch without really eating. The cafeteria buzzed with noise around them, but it felt like they were in a bubble of sadness. "I don't want to go," James said quietly. "You're my best friend. My only real friend." "You have to go," Maya said, trying to be brave. "It's a good opportunity for your family. You can't pass that up, but what about you?" "I'll be okay," Maya lied. She wouldn't be okay. James was the one person who truly understood her. But she couldn't be selfish. Not when his family needed this. The last 2 months of school flew by too quickly. Maya and James spent every lunch together, every free moment they had. They exchanged phone numbers and addresses, promising to write letters and stay in touch. On the last day of school, James gave Maya a small wrapped package. "Don't open it until I'm gone," he said. His eyes were red like he'd been crying. "James, promise me something," he said. "Promise me you'll never give up on your dreams. Promise me you'll become that teacher who changes kids' lives." "Only if you promise to become a doctor," Maya said, her own tears starting to fall. "I promise," James said. "And Maya, I'll never forget what you did for me. Sharing your lunch when I had nothing, being my friend when no one else would. One day I'll repay your kindness. I don't know how or when, but I will. I promise." They hugged goodbye, both crying openly now, not caring who saw them. When James finally left, Maya felt like a piece of her heart went with him. That night, she opened his gift. It was a journal, brand new and beautiful. Inside the front cover, James had written, "For Maya, who taught me that the smallest acts of kindness can mean everything. Never stop being you. Your friend always, James." Maya held the journal to her chest and cried. She didn't know it then, but this wouldn't be the last time she'd see James Park. Their story was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun. 15 years had passed since Maya had last seen James Park. 15 years of life moving forward, sometimes painfully slow, sometimes too fast. She was 27 now, standing in front of a classroom of third graders at Roosevelt Elementary School, the same neighborhood where she'd grown up, the same kind of kid she'd once been. Maya had kept her promise. She'd become a teacher. It hadn't been easy. College meant student loans and working 3 part-time jobs. There were nights when she'd studied until dawn, surviving on instant noodles and coffee. But she'd done it. She'd graduated, gotten her teaching certificate, and returned to the neighborhood that shaped her. Her classroom was colorful and warm, even though the building itself was old and underfunded. Maya had spent her own money on books, art supplies, and posters. She knew these kids. She knew they needed more than just lessons from a textbook. They needed someone who believed in them. "Miss Chen, can I share my lunch with Tommy?" a small voice asked. It was Isabel, one of her students. He forgot his again. Maya looked at Tommy, a shy boy in the back row who was trying to make himself invisible. Her heart squeezed. She saw herself in him. She saw James. "That's very kind of you, Isabel," Maya said softly. "Tommy, is it okay if Isabel shares with you?" Tommy nodded, his cheeks red with embarrassment. Maya watched as Isabel split her sandwich down the middle and gave half to Tommy. Such a simple act, but Maya knew it meant everything. That evening, Maya went home to the same small apartment where she'd grown up. Her mother was there, older now and moving slower. The years of hard work had taken their toll. She'd had to stop taking sewing jobs when arthritis made her hands too painful to work. Now she was on disability, which barely covered her medications. "How was school, sweetheart?" her mother asked from her chair by the window. "Good, Mom. The kids are wonderful. Challenging, but wonderful." Maya set down her bag and started preparing dinner. Something simple. Their budget was still tight, even with her teacher's salary. Most of it went to her mother's medical bills and the student loans she was still paying off. "You work too hard," her mother said, like she did every day. "I learned from the best," Maya replied, kissing her mother's forehead. Later that night, Maya sat at her tiny desk and graded papers. Her head had been hurting a lot lately, sharp pains that came and went. She'd get dizzy sometimes, especially when she stood up too fast. But she didn't have time to worry about it. She didn't have good health insurance and doctor visits were expensive. "It's just stress," she told herself. "Just need to get more sleep." But the headaches got worse. By October, she was taking pain medication almost every day. The dizziness became more frequent. She'd be in the middle of teaching and suddenly feel like the room was spinning. She'd grip her desk and wait for it to pass, forcing a smile so the kids wouldn't worry. "Miss Chen, are you okay?" Tommy asked one day after she'd stumbled slightly. "I'm fine, sweetie. Just tired." Another lie. She'd become good at those, her colleagues noticed. Mrs. Rodriguez, the veteran teacher next door, pulled her aside one afternoon. "Maya, you don't look well. Have you seen a doctor?" "It's nothing. Just headaches and fatigue. Every teacher deals with that, right?" "Not like this," Mrs. Rodriguez said firmly. "You need to get checked out." "I will," Maya promised. "After parent-teacher conferences. After the holidays. When things calm down." But things never calmed down. There was always something. Another lesson to plan. Another student who needed extra help. Another bill that needed paying. Maya kept pushing, kept ignoring the warning signs her body was giving her. She'd lost touch with James years ago. At first, they'd written letters regularly, then emails, then texts. But life got busy. James was in medical school, then residency. Maya was in college, then starting her career. The messages became less frequent, then stopped altogether. Sometimes Maya would think about him, wonder where he was if he'd achieved his dream of becoming a doctor. She hoped he had. In November, Maya had to leave work early twice because the headaches were so bad she could barely see. She'd sit in the school bathroom waiting for the pain to ease before driving home. She knew she was scaring the kids. She knew she needed help. But the thought of medical bills, of taking time off work, of being weak when her mother and students needed her to be strong kept her from going. "You're being stubborn," her mother said one evening, when Maya came home pale and shaking from another bad episode. "I'm being practical," Maya replied. "We can't afford for me to miss work. We can't afford medical tests. I'll be fine." "You sound like me," her mother said sadly. "All those years I pushed myself, ignored the pain because we needed the money." "Don't make my mistakes, Maya, please." But Maya was already making them. She was her mother's daughter, after all. Stubborn and self-sacrificing to a fault. December came with holiday preparations at school. The kids were excited about their winter concert and the gift exchange. Maya threw herself into the festivities, determined to give her students the best holiday season possible. Most of them didn't have much at home. School celebrations meant everything. She was decorating the classroom one afternoon, standing on a chair to hang paper snowflakes, when the dizziness hit harder than ever before. The room spun violently. Her vision blurred. She tried to hold onto the back of the chair, but her hands wouldn't grip properly. Maya felt herself falling. It seemed to happen in slow motion. She saw the floor coming up to meet her, saw the shocked faces of students who'd stayed after school to help decorate. She heard someone scream her name. Then everything went black. She woke up to bright lights and beeping sounds. A hospital. She was in a hospital. How did she get here? What happened? "Miss Chen? Can you hear me?" A nurse's face appeared above her. "You're at Memorial Hospital. You collapsed at school. We're running some tests." Try to stay calm, but Maya couldn't stay calm. All she could think about was the cost. Emergency room visits, tests, how would she pay for this? And her mother, who must be so worried. And her students who saw her fall. My mom, Maya managed to say. Someone needs to call my mom. We've already contacted her. She's in the waiting room. We'll bring her back soon. The next few hours were a blur of tests. CT scans, blood work, neurological exams. Doctors came and went asking questions, making notes, looking serious. Too serious. Maya's fear grew with each concerned look, each whispered conversation just outside her curtain. Finally, a doctor came to speak with her. He was young, maybe in his 30s, with kind eyes and a gentle manner. Miss Chen, I'm Dr. Williams. I've been reviewing your test results, and I need to be honest with you. We found something concerning. Maya felt her heart drop. What is it? There's a mass in your brain. We need to do more tests to determine exactly what it is, but the size and location are worrisome. You'll need to see a specialist, a neurosurgeon. The words hit Maya like physical blows. Brain mass, neurosurgeon. This couldn't be happening, not now. Not when she had so much to do, so many people depending on her. How much will all this cost? She asked, her voice small. Dr. Williams looked uncomfortable. Let's focus on getting you the care you need. We can work with you on the financial aspects. But Maya knew what that meant. Bills she couldn't pay, debt she'd never escape. Maybe no treatment at all if she couldn't afford it. When they finally let her mother come back, Maya tried to be strong. But when she saw her mother's worried face, tears streaming down her cheeks, Maya broke down. I'm sorry, Mom. I should have gone to the doctor sooner. I should have listened to you. Shh, it's okay, baby. We'll figure this out. Her mother held her hand, but Maya could feel how much she was trembling. They kept Maya overnight for observation. In the dark hospital room, listening to the beeps and hums of medical equipment, Maya thought about her life. Had she made a difference? Had her work mattered? She thought about her students, about Isabel sharing her lunch with Tommy, about all the small acts of kindness she'd witnessed and tried to foster. She thought about James, too. Wondered if he really had become a doctor, wondered if he ever thought about her, about that lonely kid who'd shared her lunch all those years ago. It seemed like a lifetime ago now, a different world. The next morning, Dr. Williams came back with more news. They'd scheduled her for an appointment with Memorial Hospital's neurosurgery department. It was one of the best in the state, he assured her. But the word that stuck in Maya's head wasn't best. It was expensive. The tumor is aggressive, Dr. Williams explained gently. You need surgery soon. Waiting isn't really an option. Maya nodded, trying to process everything. Surgery on her brain. The fear was overwhelming, but underneath the fear was something else, anger. Why now? Why her? She'd lived her whole life trying to be good, to help others. And this was what she got? They discharged her later that day with appointments scheduled and prescriptions she couldn't afford to fill. Her mother helped her to the car, both of them moving like they'd aged decades overnight. We'll figure this out, her mother kept saying, but Maya could hear the doubt in her voice. At home, Maya looked at the stack of medical bills already piling up. Just the emergency room visit and tests had cost thousands. The surgery would cost tens of thousands more. Even with her basic insurance, she'd be responsible for a huge portion. Money she didn't have, money she'd never have. That night, lying in bed with a headache that wouldn't quit, Maya allowed herself to feel scared. Really, truly scared. Not just of dying, though that terrified her, but of the burden she'd become to her mother. Of leaving her students mid-year. Of all the dreams she'd never get to see through. She'd kept her promise to James. She'd become a teacher. She'd tried to make a difference, but maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe the universe didn't care about promises or good intentions. Maybe sometimes bad things just happened to people who didn't deserve them. In the darkness, Maya whispered the prayer her mother had taught her as a child. She didn't know if anyone was listening, but it was all she had left. The appointment with the neurosurgeon was scheduled for Monday morning. Maya spent the weekend trying to prepare herself, though she didn't know how to prepare for news that might change everything. Her mother fussed over her, making special foods, trying to hide her own fear behind forced smiles. On Sunday night, Mrs. Rodriguez and several other teachers from Roosevelt Elementary came by with groceries and a card signed by all the students. Inside were dozens of drawings. Get well, Miss Chen. We miss you. You're the best teacher ever, Maya cried, reading through them. The kids are worried, Mrs. Rodriguez said. We told them you were sick and needed to rest. They wanted you to know they love you. I love them too, Maya whispered, holding the drawings close. We've started a fundraiser, another teacher added, for your medical expenses. The whole school is pitching in. It's not much, but it's everything, Maya interrupted, overwhelmed by their kindness. Thank you, all of you. After they left, Maya sat with the card and drawings, thinking about how lucky she was to have these people in her life. Even if things went badly, at least she'd known this kind of love. That had to count for something. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Maya and her mother took a bus to Memorial Hospital since Maya wasn't supposed to drive with her symptoms. The neurosurgery department was on the 5th floor, all glass and modern furniture. It felt surreal, like they'd stepped into a different world. The waiting room was full of people with their own stories, their own fears. Maya wondered how many of them were also worried about money. How many were calculating the cost of survival? Maya Chen? A nurse called her name. They were led to an exam room where they waited another 15 minutes. Maya's palms were sweating. Her mother held her hand tight, neither of them speaking. What was there to say? The door opened and a doctor walked in. He was looking at a tablet, reviewing her file. When he looked up, Maya noticed he was younger than she expected for such a specialized surgeon. Maybe late 30s. Professional but approachable. Miss Chen, I'm Dr. Park. He stopped mid-sentence. The tablet nearly slipped from his hands. He was staring at Maya with an expression she couldn't quite read. Shock, recognition? Maya looked at him more closely. Something about his eyes, the shape of his face. That voice, James? She whispered. Maya, he breathed. I can't believe it's you. Time seemed to freeze. The professional doctor disappeared, and for a moment he was just James again. The scared kid who'd sat alone in the cafeteria. Her best friend. The boy who'd moved away 15 years ago. You two know each other? Maya's mother asked, confused. We were friends, James said, his voice thick with emotion. In middle school, I've thought about you so many times over the years. You became a doctor, Maya said, tears streaming down her face. You kept your promise, and so did you. You became a teacher. He wiped his own eyes quickly, trying to maintain some professional composure. I'm sorry. This is incredibly unprofessional of me. I never thought I'd see you again. And not like this. He sat down, taking a moment to collect himself. When he spoke again, his voice was steadier, but Maya could still hear the emotion underneath. I've reviewed your scans, Maya. Before I came in here. Before I knew it was you. And I need to be honest with you. The tumor is significant. It's in a challenging location, but it's operable. You need surgery, and you need it soon. Within the next 2 weeks, if possible. How much? Maya asked. The practical question. The one that mattered when you'd been poor your whole life. James looked pained. Maya, let's talk about the medical aspects first. James, please. How much? He pulled up something on his tablet. With your insurance, you'd be looking at around $40,000 out of pocket. Maybe more depending on complications. The number hit Maya like a truck. $40,000. She didn't have $40 extra most months. Her mother made a small sound of despair beside her. I can't afford that. Maya said simply, I can't afford any of it. There are payment plans, financial assistance programs. James started. I'm a teacher at an underfunded school. I take care of my mother who's on disability. I'm still paying off student loans. There is no extra money. There never has been. Maya felt strangely calm saying it, just stating facts. James looked between Maya and her mother, his expression devastated. Maya, you can't not have the surgery. This tumor is aggressive. If we don't operate soon, I die. Maya finished for him. Yeah, I figured that was where this was going. Don't talk like that, her mother sobbed. Please, sweetheart, James stood up suddenly. Excuse me for a moment. I need to. I'll be right back. He left the room and Maya could see him through the glass wall, pacing, talking on his phone, running his hand through his hair in a gesture she remembered from when they were kids. He used to do that when he was stressed about a test. When he came back 10 minutes later, his expression was different. Determined. Okay, he said. Here's what's going to happen. I'm taking your case personally. I'm going to perform the surgery myself. And we're going to figure out the financial side. There are charitable funds, grants for teachers, resources I can access. James, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. He sat down across from her and his eyes were intense. Do you remember what I told you the last day of 8th grade? That I would repay your kindness someday? That was different. That was just lunch. It wasn't just lunch, James said firmly. You shared your food when you barely had enough for yourself. You were my friend when I had no one. You showed me that kindness existed in the world when I was starting to think it didn't. Do you have any idea how many times I thought about you during medical school? When I was exhausted and wanted to quit, I'd remember you, this girl who had every reason to be bitter and cruel but chose kindness instead. James. Maya didn't know what to say. You saved me in a different way back then, Maya. You gave me hope. You gave me a reason to want to become a doctor. Because I saw what one person's kindness could do, how it could change everything. And now I'm a neurosurgeon. One of the best in this hospital, if I'm being honest, and you need a neurosurgeon. Tell me that's not fate. But the money. Let me worry about the money, James said. I have connections, resources, and honestly, Maya, I've been successful. Very successful. If I need to, I'll cover the costs myself. I'm not going to let you die because of money. Not when I can help. Not when you're the reason I'm even in a position to help. Maya's mother was crying openly now. Maya felt tears streaming down her own face. Why would you do that? Maya asked. It's too much. It's not enough, James replied. You gave me everything when you had nothing. This is just medicine and money. You gave me hope and friendship. Those are priceless. They spent the next hour going over the medical details. The tumor was a type called a glioblastoma. Aggressive and dangerous, but James explained that he'd had good success rates with similar cases. The surgery would be long and complex. There were risks, but doing nothing wasn't an option. We'll schedule you for next Monday, James said. That gives us a week to prep and for me to put together a team. I want the best surgical nurses, the best anesthesiologist, everyone. James, I don't know how to thank you, Maya said. You already did, 15 years ago in a middle school cafeteria. He smiled. Besides, we're friends. That's what friends do. They show up when it matters. After the appointment, as Maya and her mother waited for the bus, Maya felt different. Still scared, definitely. But not alone. Not hopeless. James had appeared like something out of a movie, and suddenly impossible things seemed possible. That boy really cares about you, her mother said. He's not a boy anymore, Maya replied. He's Dr. Park now. And yes, he does. Because I cared about him first when it was easier not to. That week was a blur of pre-surgical appointments, tests, and preparations. James was true to his word. He worked with the hospital's financial department, accessing charitable funds and negotiating costs. He somehow got Maya's out-of-pocket expenses down to less than $5,000, which the teacher's fundraiser had already covered. How did you do this? Maya asked during one of the prep appointments. I called in every favor I had, and I made it clear that this case was personal. The hospital administration respects that. Plus, your story got around. A teacher who's dedicated her life to underprivileged kids needs help. People wanted to contribute. Maya learned more about James's life during those appointments. He'd gone to a prestigious university on scholarship, then medical school at Johns Hopkins. His residency was brutal, but he'd excelled. He'd published research papers and was considered a rising star in neurosurgery. He'd done exactly what he'd promised himself he would do. What about your personal life? Maya asked. Are you married, kids? James shook his head. I've dated, but nothing serious. My work is pretty consuming, and honestly, I've had trust issues. Hard to know if people like me for me or for the successful doctor with the good income. That must be lonely, Maya said. Sometimes, James admitted. But I had a good example of what real friendship looks like. Made it hard to settle for less. On Sunday night, the day before surgery, James came to Maya's apartment. He'd never been there before. It was even smaller than his old apartment had been, but Maya kept it clean and cheerful. Her mother made tea, and the three of them sat in the tiny living room. James and Maya's mother traded stories about Maya as a kid. Despite the heavy situation, they laughed. It felt good to laugh. Before James left, he took Maya's hand. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure this surgery goes perfectly. You're going to be okay. I need you to believe that. I'm trying, Maya said. Remember what you told me once? That I'd become a doctor because I was smart and worked hard and cared about people? You said that mattered most. Well, all of those things are going into your surgery tomorrow. Plus one more thing. What's that? Love, James said simply. I'm operating on someone I care about deeply. Someone who changed my life. That gives me more motivation than any other case I've ever done. After he left, Maya sat with her mother in silence for a while. Whatever happens tomorrow, Maya finally said, I want you to know I've had a good life. Not an easy one, but a good one. And I found my friend again. That's something. Nothing's going to happen, her mother said fiercely. That boy is going to save your life. I know it, Maya hoped she was right. She hoped that the same kindness that had started with a shared lunch would come full circle, that somehow, impossibly, everything would be okay. Maya woke up at 5 in the morning on the day of her surgery. She hadn't slept much. Every time she'd closed her eyes, her mind raced with possibilities. What if something went wrong? What if she never woke up? What if this was her last day? Her mother was already awake, sitting in the kitchen with her rosary beads. She'd been praying all night. When she saw Maya, she tried to smile, but her eyes were red and swollen. "Morning, Mom," Maya said softly. "Morning, baby. Are you ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be." They didn't eat. Maya wasn't allowed to before surgery, so they just sat together, holding hands, watching the sun come up through their small window. Maya tried to memorize this moment. The morning light, her mother's hand in hers, the sound of the neighborhood waking up outside. At the hospital, they were taken to pre-op. Nurses came and went, checking vitals, starting IVs, asking questions. Maya changed into a hospital gown and felt vulnerable and small. Her mother stayed by her side the whole time, refusing to leave even when nurses suggested she might want to wait outside. Then James appeared, already in his surgical scrubs. He looked confident and professional, but Maya could see the concern in his eyes. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Terrified," Maya admitted. "But I trust you." James squeezed her hand. "I've assembled the best team. We've gone over your scans a dozen times. I know exactly what needs to be done." "You're going to be okay, Maya, I promise." "You can't promise that," Maya said. "It's brain surgery. Anything could happen." "You're right," James said. "But I can promise that I will do everything in my power, use every bit of skill and knowledge I have to make sure you come through this. The same way you used everything you had to help me all those years ago." The anesthesiologist came in then to explain what would happen. Maya would go to sleep. The surgery would take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours depending on complications. She might not remember the first few days after surgery clearly. That was normal. "Any questions?" he asked. Maya had 1,000 questions, but none that could really be answered. So she just shook her head. They started wheeling her toward the operating room. Her mother walked alongside the gurney, holding her hand until they reached the doors she couldn't pass through. "I love you, sweetheart. I'll be right here waiting. You're strong. You're a fighter. You're going to be fine. I love you too, Mom." Then they were through the doors and in the bright, cold operating room. There were machines everywhere, monitors beeping, people in surgical masks moving with purpose. James appeared above her. "We're going to take good care of you," he said. "When you wake up, this will all be over, and we'll celebrate with the best lunch I can buy." "Just share a sandwich with me," Maya said, her words starting to slur as the anesthesia kicked in. "That's all I need." "Deal," James said, and his eyes crinkled with a smile behind his mask. Then everything went dark. Maya floated in nothingness. No dreams, no awareness of time passing, just absence. When consciousness started to creep back, it came in fragments. Sounds first, beeping, distant voices, then sensations. Something in her throat, pain in her head, pressure. She tried to open her eyes but couldn't. Tried to move, but her body wouldn't respond. Panic started to rise. Where was she? What was happening? "Maya, it's okay. You're in recovery. The surgery is over. You did great." A nurse's voice, calm and reassuring. "Don't try to talk. You have a breathing tube. We'll remove it soon. Just rest." Over the next hours or maybe days, Maya drifted in and out. Sometimes she'd wake to find her mother there, stroking her hair and crying happy tears. Sometimes it was James checking her vitals and talking to nurses. Sometimes she was alone with just the machines for company. Gradually, things became clearer. The breathing tube came out. She could open her eyes for longer periods. The fog in her mind started to lift. She was alive. The surgery was over. She'd made it. "Welcome back," James said one afternoon when she woke to find him sitting beside her bed. He looked exhausted but happy. "You've been in and out for 3 days. How do you feel?" "Like someone operated on my brain," Maya croaked. Her throat was raw. James laughed. "Well, someone did me, and I have to say you have a very impressive brain. Even with a tumor, it's remarkable. Did you get it all?" "We got everything we could see." The tumor was exactly where the scans showed it. "The surgery went as well as it possibly could have." "Your scans look good." No complications. Maya, I'm cautiously optimistic. Tears rolled down Maya's cheeks. I'm alive. Yes, you are. Thanks to your own strength. You fought hard. Thanks to you, Maya corrected. You saved my life. We saved each other, James said quietly. All those years ago you gave me hope when I had none. That hope led me here, to this career, to this moment. You saved your own life by being kind to a scared kid in middle school. That's the real story. Over the next week, Maya's recovery progressed. She had to learn to walk again, to balance. There was physical therapy, occupational therapy, and follow-up scans. Her mother practically lived at the hospital, only going home to shower and change clothes. The teachers from Roosevelt Elementary visited, bringing more cards from students. Mrs. Rodriguez teared up seeing Maya awake and alert. Your kids miss you terribly, but don't worry about school. We've got everything covered. You just focus on getting better. When can I come back? Maya asked. Not for a while, James interjected. He'd been checking her chart when the teachers arrived. You need at least 3 months recovery. Maybe longer? 3 months? But my students, will be fine, Mrs. Rodriguez assured her. We hired a wonderful substitute. And you know what? This whole experience has brought the community together. Everyone's been asking about you. People who've never volunteered before are showing up to help. You've inspired a lot of kindness, Maya. That made Maya cry again. She seemed to cry a lot these days. James said it was normal after brain surgery. Emotions were harder to control. But Maya thought maybe she was just finally letting herself feel everything she'd held in for so long. 2 weeks after surgery, Maya was discharged. James came to see her off, giving her strict instructions about rest and follow-up appointments. I'm going to be monitoring you closely, he said. Weekly appointments for the first month, then every other week. Any symptoms at all, you call me immediately. Day or night. You don't have to do that, Maya protested. You've already done so much. Maya, we're not just doctor and patient. We're friends. We've always been friends. And friends take care of each other. Before she left, James helped her into the wheelchair that would take her down to the car. As he pushed her down the hallway, Maya thought about how far they'd both come. 2 poor kids from struggling families. One became a teacher, one became a doctor. Both trying to help others because someone had helped them first. At home, Maya's recovery continued. Her mother fussed over her constantly, making special soups and helping her with exercises. Colleagues stopped by with meals and company. Her students sent drawings and video messages that made her laugh and cry. And James visited regularly. Not as Dr. Park, but as James. They'd talk for hours, filling in all the years they'd missed. He told her about medical school, about the long nights of studying, about the moment he'd performed his first surgery, and realized this was exactly where he was meant to be. Maya told him about her journey to becoming a teacher, about the students who'd touched her heart, about choosing to come back to the neighborhood where she'd grown up, because these kids deserved someone who understood them. You know what's funny? James said one afternoon. They were sitting in Maya's living room, sharing takeout Chinese food. We both ended up doing exactly what we said we'd do. Back in 8th grade, we made these promises. You'd become a teacher, I'd become a doctor, and we did it. We kept our promises, Maya agreed. You kept yours first, James said. You promised me I'd be okay when I was scared and alone. You promised that kindness mattered. And you were right. It changed everything. 3 months later, Maya returned to Roosevelt Elementary. The kids had made a huge banner welcoming her back. They cheered when she walked into the classroom. Several of them hugged her so tight she could barely breathe. We missed you, Miss Chen. I missed you too. All of you. Teaching was harder now. She got tired more easily. But James had cleared her to work half days, gradually building back up to full time. And Maya found that she appreciated every moment more than before. Every lesson, every smile, every small breakthrough with a struggling student.